we are allocating 868 billion, representing 61.1% of the capital expenditure to the economic sector. It's very strategic and deliberate. When we invest in agriculture, industry, and trade, we create jobs, reduce poverty, and generate revenue that strengthens the entire economy. The performance of this sector remains central to our vision of achieving a seven-fold GDP growth in Enugu State. Agriculture remains crucial to our pursuit of poverty eradication and self-sufficiency, with its potential to create massive job opportunities and expand our revenue base. Next year, we will complete the construction of all 260 farm estates. Each 200-hectare farm estate will be equipped with key infrastructure, central warehouses for produce aggregation and processing, tractor sheds, irrigation system, electricity, and water supply. Transportation. Transportation is the lifeblood of commerce. Without efficient mobility, no economy can thrive. In 2026, we will construct additional 5 new transport terminals located at Ebene, Udi, Ogu, Four Corners, and Obolafo. So, to further boost mobility, we also make provision for the procurement of 2,000 sedans for our city taxis. Enugu Air continues to serve as an economic enabler and a strategic platform for our emergence as a regional hub. Next year, we will acquire an additional 14 aircraft. We have already closed the procurement of additional 3 due to arrive any moment from now, but certainly before Christmas. So we currently have 6 aircraft. So by procurement of additional 14, it will bring our total fleet to 20. Caves and lush vegetation position the state as a natural tourism destination. We will sustain the major upgrades already underway. This includes the revamp of Ohom waterfall and caves, Opatu, Nsude, and Ngwo-Pine Forest, where we will unveil the first zip line in Nigeria. A similar upgrade will take place at the Akuke Sand Beach next year. Road infrastructure. Quality roads not only aid movement and beautiful cities, they drive growth. In 2026, we will pave 1,200 urban and rural roads. And a significant number of them would be our rural roads. Every local government,
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Excellency is presenting a speech which we expect him to preach before we applaud him. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Every local government area has a major road project in the 2026 budget. We will of course complete the 40-kilometer Owo, Obaho, Amankanu, Aneke, Iken, dual carriageway, opening a new gateway to the north-central region. The dualization of Aneke, Ubobonike, Opinsuka Road, one of the busiest economic corridors, will also be completed, as we will also complete the 21.6-kilometer Enugu-Abakaliki Expressway. Thank you. At the state secretariat, the completion of the sea wing will ensure that all the ministries are finally housed in one location. So we have captured in our next year's budget the completion of the sea wing of our secretariat. Mr. Speaker, as you know, the sea wing has by far the largest number of blocks. And once we've achieved that, all the ministries that are currently scattered in different locations will be housed in one location. Housing. Over 15% of the total budget has been allocated to housing, reflecting our strong focus on mass housing. We would deliver 15,000 mass housing units next year, forming the first phase of the 30,000 unit planned within our first term. The new Enugu Smart City project exemplifies our commitment to creating a world-class environment for residents, work, and recreation. Next year, we will complete its infrastructure. This project is projected to generate a minimum of 300 billion for the state government next year. Social sector. We remain committed to ensuring development reaches every citizen and every community, a central theme of these budgets. Next year, we will allocate 20 billion naira to clear long-standing gratuities. Mr. Speaker, as you know, the gratuities have been a legacy debt. Over the decades, this has continued to hang on our head as government. So we're determined to clear the gratuity, and we have allocated 20 billion. We've just recently completed the verification exercise, and we now have a clear figure. We now know what the outstanding figures are, and we want to clear them. We do not want to bequeath this debt to a successive government, so we're determined to clear the gratuity. Our workers should not wait years to receive benefits they have earned. We will enhance the welfare of our traditional rulers by procuring vehicles for the principal officers, as well as increasing the salaries of all our traditional rulers. Mr. Speaker, we've also committed, we will ensure that we settle all the perseverance benefit of our former councillors. So we have also allocated funds for that. Education. Mrs. Speaker, distinguished members of this honorable House, education holds a defining place in our development strategy. For the second consecutive year, over 30% of the budget is dedicated to education. This is a deliberate investment to secure the future of our children and build a workforce capable of attracting global investments. With the smart schools infrastructure largely in place, our focus next year shifts to smart secondary schools and technical and vocational education colleges. For us, education remains a permanent frontier. This explains why we have in 2 consecutive budget cycles devoted over 30% of our total budget to the sector. This is not mercy.
It's Christmas. The King is born. Hey children, it's time to laugh, to dance and have some fun. Put on your dancing shoes and bring your friends along. Come on, it's the Aneke TV Children's Christmas Party 2025. Let's go! We got dancing, spelling bees, sack race, jumping 1, 2, 3, lots of games and surprises too. All we are waiting for is you. And venue is Aneke TV, number 30, Edinburgh Street, Ogwini Layout, Enugu. Come take your seat. Time is 12 o'clock. Don't be late. We can't wait to celebrate. Sponsored by Indomie. Yummy treats. Colgate, our smile so sweet. Kellogg's, bring the crunchy cheers. Malta Guinness, energy all year, powered by Nigerian Breweries, and this is the best party guaranteed. Come one, come all. It's Christmas cheers. Be there, be happy. The fun, it's here.
You're welcome to Aneke TV, broadcasting from Enugu, southeast of Nigeria. And we are here on our program, Arena. Arena is a political program, current affairs, that involve discourse on national issues, international issues, and other things that help to enlighten humans. We welcome you to this program, and we have very eminent personalities here, guests who are going to help us in discussing our topic for today, which is Nigeria and her security challenges. And let me start from my right to introduce to you a public affairs analyst, public affairs commentator, a man who has passion for ensuring that a man dies in him who keeps silence in the face of tyranny. Let me introduce Dr. Chikezie Obase. Please, you're welcome to Arena.
Thank you, Chief Rex. Thank you, our listeners and our viewers. You're welcome.
And from my left, I have yet another man, the former Vice President of Nigerian Union of Journalists. He's also an editor. He's many things at various times. Comrade Kenneth Ofoma, you're welcome to Arena.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Let me start from my from you, Obase. Nigeria and her security challenges. What were the problems that led to a situation where security of lives and property in this country nosedived to the present level? When we are talking about the present level, we are talking about a level from the ridiculous, or from the sublime to the ridiculous anyway. So what do you think were actually the causes?
Okay, first, if we begin to look at security from the perspective of territorial integrity, maintaining territorial integrity, which is the perspective many of us always look at security, it becomes a little worrisome how we just die. But if we realize that maintaining territorial integrity, stability of the country is a combination of multiple factors, we understand that decay has since, actually been long. We begin to, not only Nigeria anyway, Nigeria happens to have these enormous security challenges because of the population we have. We are so big, and other factors are worse. So when you aggregate each of the factors in a tiny space, 900 or something, less than 1 million square kilometers, you appreciate why Nigerian case seems to look like it's peculiar and unique. But let's look at it from the perspective of our colonial masters. The big question is, did Africa, the formation of Africa, the formation of Nigeria, did it actually encompass one that should be cohesive? That's a very big question. That's a very fundamental question. And then our forefathers tried to get that done properly in 1960 when they began with regional government so that we can actually manage ourselves. But by 1967, we were unable to do that. 66 precisely, we were unable to, manage a country. Had our first queue, and then it looked at the center could no longer hold. By after that queue, first, we wanted to get into the system of governance. We borrowed the presidential system of governance. That actually, for me, I have not seen a developing nation that developed with that presidential system of governance that put capitalism right and then put greed at the foremost part of it. The welfare of the citizen, we are, pushed to the background, and we began to see other things worsening. From a country of less than 60 million Nigerians in 1960, today we are talking about 230 million Nigerians. And if you look at the Human Capital Development Index we have, the HDI, we rank so low. The GDP per capita is so low, and you see that everybody is now struggling like animals, in an uncivilized environment. That has worsened the socioeconomic indicators in us, and it has turned everybody to be looking for solutions to survive. That is one angle of insecurity. Second angle, which many of us haven't actually looked at, is the issue of climate change. Many a time we hear that militia from Mali, Niger, flocks into Nigeria, killing Nigerians and so on. That is true. But if you understand clearly that over 30 million Africans have migrated southward, in the last 30 years, you understand the enormous difficulty this poses. There is a lot of climate change which Africa is bearing a whole lot of grunts, having less than 4% contribution to climate change, but bearing over 80% of the consequences. So we have a lot of desertification over there in the northern part of Africa. A lot of lakes, water bodies are drying up. Lake Chad used to be 40,000 square kilometers. Today, it's almost dried up. So you discover that has pushed a whole lot of nomads to come down to the south. And certainly Nigeria happens to be a place where you could say in West Africa is the richest, in Africa is the richest country in Africa. And it attracts for it to itself, a lot of people who want to migrate to Nigeria. The border that the north has no border, you say. I wouldn't say we have a porous border, because porous border means that there is border. And the north practically has no border. A situation where you have over 1,000 entry points, and majority of them are not even manned by security men. That people are still mapping out that place. So it allowed influx into Nigeria, without being checked. And that's on one side. The other side is the international organization conspiracy and then management of insecurity in Sub-Saharan Africa, the Sahel region. We know clearly 2009, 2010, the greatest weapon in Africa was unleashed on Africa, and that was the killing of Muammar Gaddafi. And that allowed a whole lot of weapons to traverse across the Sahel region of Africa. And Nigeria got our own share. We saw Sudan being destabilized. We saw a lot of our African countries, including Mali. That actually is a very big problem to many of us. And finally, we are seeing a situation whereby we have an internal restiveness, within the country. Like I said, we can begin to unbundle this from a whole component of insecurity. And then if we begin to look at it and center it around human security, so that once a human being feels not secured, his wants not being given to him, he is bound to struggle, including edging the next man out to provide for those things. That means that we are going back to the Russian states, where survival of the fittest becomes the order of the day. And that's exactly what Nigeria has found herself. So when we hear that you have bandits in the northeast, northwest, Boko Haram in the northeast, militants in the south, separatist agitation in the southeast, kidnappers everywhere, these are symptoms, of a failed system of leadership that failed to provide proper human security to an average citizen.
Thank you, Comrade Ofoma.
Well,
one school of thought said might has become like right in Nigeria. What can you say about that?
I think that in summary, my co-discussant has just hit the nail on the head in his last comment. A leadership challenge in handling some of this insecurity. Talk about climate change, talk about population. Those are not the reason why we are not the most populated country in the world. China is how many times? Almost 6 times more populous. India is also about 6 times more populous. America is about 350 million, and so many other countries. But yet they are able to secure their citizens, secure their border, and what have you, and use modern technology. But first of all, the difficulty our leaders are facing, and when I say leadership, it's not just current administration. I mean, over time, successive leaders to even acknowledge the security challenge we are facing. Because, again, when you talk about climate change, that is not why we are having this problem. Most of the problems, for instance, Boko Haram did not start because of headers. They are not headers. They are just religious fundamentalists who believe in installing caliphate. So Nigeria has become, which is also one central theme, because our security challenges are multifarious, multidimensional. But the most dangerous is the aspect of Nigeria being a hub for expansion of global terrorism. And that is just, and our government also, we are not paying attention for somewhat political reasons. And for the fact that also some of our leaders, not those in politics this time, not those in governance, but ethnic leaders don't see anything wrong, can't be courageous enough to talk to their children or to even encourage the government to take drastic actions. But when the government wants to take the drastic action to curtail the insecurity, it is those ethnic leaders or religious leaders that are going to shout. There's a particular religious leader who is saying that
Gumi, don't say there's a particular
these terrorists, he said that they are not terrorists, that they are jihadists. It's very laughable. When you ask yourself, why can't government bring that man in for questioning? Because of that same politics. So it's a problem that will require political will. It's a problem that will also require government understanding the enormity of the problem facing us. We don't seem to understand it. There must be a country before you become a leader or a president or a governor or a senator. There must be a country first. Nigeria has drastically changed terribly in the negative side. We cannot travel on our road, we cannot sleep in our house, we cannot go to farm, we cannot go to market. There is insecurity everywhere you turn. And so it's not just enough declaring a national emergency. It's not, that is cosmetic. The thing is action.
We'll get to that. We'll get to when you begin to talk about what we are going to do to move forward. But before we do that, I find out from you, Dr. Bassey, when you say that things are not going well security-wise, and you have mentioned a whole lot of, you reeled out a lot of factors that are part of or the causes. But I want to know exactly, when do you think that the security situation in Nigeria started derailing? Or do you think, or had Nigeria been like this ab initio? No. So, and who are supposed to be responsible? That is, those who were vested with the responsibility of the management, or the coordination, or responsibility of governance, who were the persons in charge when the security situation started derailing before it got to what it is presently.
Okay, so before I get into that answer, let me expound on the components of security so you appreciate why it's very important to point at which point you start having problems. You have, what we know clearly is what we call state-centric nature of security. Whereby the state government controls security. You know, they give you, if you have a problem, like Abacha said, if there's any trouble anywhere within 48 hours, if it's not stopped, know that government is complicit. That's a state-centric security system. And that, you can give it to the kinetic effort of the police, the military, but that's not where the trouble is. Nigeria began having problems in the 1970s when we had the first attack. When Nigeria asked the whole world to come and cooperate with us, we didn't have any security problem. People were living well. People were traveling. There was this Caribbean reserve. People were enjoying themselves, you know. But by the time we got to 80s, I think the first Zangon-Qatar crisis was in late 80s and early 90s. Now that was the first pointer, for government to have understood that people are no longer living at peace. So what's the problem? Freedom of worship. Religion was an issue. People not having the capacity to freely associate themselves. It led to a point where, if I go back in history, people will tell you that the southerners who are living in the north had to get guns, knives to protect themselves. That was an internal crisis first. But if we take a look at that internal crisis, we will understand that it trailed down to what we have today as the ISWAP and, not ISWAP rather, this sect in Zaria, trying to have their own religious enclave. The government should have understood what was the problem. How do we revise this issue so that
the Shiites.
The Shiites, yes, take the Shiites. How do we have that there's community security? Everybody can worship irrespective of your religion. People should see religion from their own perspective. This is you and your God. For example, how did China solve the problem? I'm just trying to tell you how it goes. China will tell you, you don't have to practice religion here. Believe in yourself, believe in karma. That's their own adoption. Because they understand clearly that if you allow religion to come in, you have a big problem. If you go back in history, you understand that when Karma said that religion is the opium of the masses, leaders across the generations from 3rd century after Christ till today have been using religion. And that's why you have the Anglican Church, the head of the Anglican Church is the UK, what's it called, the king, who incidentally turns out to be the leader of the UK United Kingdom. Then you go to Catholic, the head of first pope we have is Constantine, who was an emperor. If you go, so people were using religion to lead. So when they don't feel They don't like it, they push it, and he uses it on insecurity. So that was the first one. Then the second thing is economic security. You see, people began to steal, loot, you know, when they don't have enormous enough to keep to themselves. And that actually led to what we saw in Niger Delta militancy. When people were beginning to say, oh, because where they went to Abuja and said, oh, this is where our oil money is coming from. And they went into militancy. Until today, we saw that the person that is managing security in Niger Delta is Pampolo. So, you see, economic emancipation, they were brought in, amnesty was provided. So economically, they were down. You look at it again, the same is going on with so-called former sellers crisis, economic security. Kidnapping is number one thing that actually, if you don't know what economic security is, kidnapping will tell you what it is. You kidnap for ransom. That's economic insecurity. But it's giving us heavy stress today because government failed to look at that. Cyber security, hacking banks and so on. These are not soft, these are soft target security. But it's giving us heavy, serious stress today in Nigeria. No, I've not mentioned the state insecurity. Then you talk about health. I mentioned community. Talk about political space. We saw that in Kenya. We saw that in Madagascar recently. Where people feel they are cheated. We are looking at one in Guinea-Bissau. If we have crisis in Guinea-Bissau now, would we say we don't know what happened? Election was going on. People's mandate was to be announced, and somebody says he has been toppled. So you see, when you aggregate these insecurities and place it properly, see that over the years, because of widespread corruption, government have neglected those things we may think that are not serious, but they have become serious. What is the crisis in the middle, in the north central? It's economic crisis. Started with just team when the white man was there. That was when the crisis started. Migrants that came into Jos wanted to take over the people's land. And then that was when team was there because they felt there was something going on there. You understand? So the issue is, if you take a look at it, every leadership in Nigeria, I say from 1980s down to today, has shown one irresponsibility or the other. I've not mentioned how they come up. So what you see is that those vested with power, from states to local government area to federal, don't understand security. Let me tell you the one that's happening now, because I think that's what I'm concerned most. Look at the state of our local government areas. Rex, you know clearly, when we are younger, of May 27th, October 27th, all of us will go looking at October 1st, all of us will go to local government headquarters, taking salute from the local government chairman. And that gives us sense of patriotism. Every child that's coming up, if you are not selected to be among those that will go for that march past, you will feel like something has gone off you. And if for any reason you come up tops, your own team come up tops, you feel like you have, in fact, if they say, it's right, and you look at the local government chairman, you too, like you have seen God. That puts in some element of responsibility, some element of patriotism in you. We see our local government chairman. I passed through a secondary primary school where the then local government chairman will bring in a bus every Tuesday and Thursday in the name of mobile library. And I benefited from it. Now the first principle, if you go to first instrument layer of government that touches every citizen, is local government system. Today what we have, our local government are gone. The only time you see local government, people activities in local government area is during when the allocation comes down to local government area. People just scatter the allocation and go away. So we are seeing government from a point where it is transactional. A total leadership failure. People do not understand that each component of this actually affects the other. And then we have grown up with an idea, which Patrick Aneke, in his two-state policy theory, says it's moral and immoral state. We have grown up to a point where we see government as in Igbo land, they say, oh, but that's white man's work. It doesn't concern me. If you go in there, anything you see, you grab and loot. And then killing each component of this security down. Even in the military, we saw that from Ecomoc time, where equipping the military became an issue. Today it is business. If you go into contract of military security-wise, people are giving substandard equipment. Go to the places where our security men are living. The other day, the president says that that is recovering those that are sent to the VIPs. And I laugh. Recover them from where to where? How many security men do we have? So the corruption and the poor leadership who do not take cognizance of these tiny bits of security have allowed it to collapse. And they're today pursuing state-centric security, kill people, buy them, put them in prison. Again, it doesn't solve the problem. Because if I'm hopeless in Nigeria, the easiest thing is to commit crime and ask government to put me to prison. Of course, they give me a shelter, give me food, give me water, and as intelligent as I think I am, I'll still be in that place and go to National Open University free of charge. Government will pay. After all, we know one billionaire today who is reading law in National Open University. So if you understand that, how many people do you bundle to the prison? How many? I always ask this question. If you have a 100,000 Boko Haram members today, tell you that they don't want to surrender with their arms, and they come out in the field to say this is where we are, what would you do with them? Would you kill them? Nobody would agree to kill them. Would you imprison them? So you now tax we, who are good citizens, to continue catering for their, for their shelter, their health, their food, and so on. So it's government who do not understand this, do not understand the tiny bits of insecurity that has ravaged the system, and we are seeing. So going by your question, where do we start? My brother, it started as far back as 1980s.
Okay, our problem started way back in early 80s. We're going to pause for a break. When we come back, we'll continue from where we stopped. I am staying your anchor, Rex Arum.
Hooray! It's Christmas. The King is born. Hey children, it's time to laugh, to dance and have some fun. Put on your dancing shoes and bring your friends along. Come on, it's the Aneke TV Children's Christmas Party 2025. Let's go! We got dancing, spelling bees, sack race, jumping 1, 2, 3, lots of games and surprises too. All we are waiting for is you. And venue is Aneke TV, number 30, Edinburgh Street, Ogwini Layout, Enugu. Come take your seat. Time is 12 o'clock. Don't be late. We can't wait to celebrate. Sponsored by Indomie. Yummy treats. Colgate, our smile so sweet. Kellogg's, bring the crunchy cheers. Malta Guinness, energy all year, powered by Nigerian Breweries, and this is the best party guaranteed. Come one, come all, it's Christmas cheers. Be there, be happy, the fun, it's here.
You're welcome back. We're still on Arena in Aneke TV, Nigeria. And my guest, Dr. Obasi Chikeze, is still here with Comrade Ken Ofoma. We were talking about the problems where it started from, and presently it has gone down to what it is. We have the actual insecurities outside health, food, and others, economic securities and all that. We talk about banditry. Of course, banditry is not captured in any of our law books. There's no place you see banditry or anything like that. So I do not even know how, after describing banditry, the government will take care of that. Terrorism, kidnapping, and a whole lot of it. And you earlier pointed that Nigeria is like coming to become the hub
of global terrorism.
Of global terrorism. ISWAP, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, as the case may be, and many others. So we became so loose to the extent that all these people are now coming into Nigeria. What was it? You said earlier too that leadership is part of the problem that we have. So how is leadership actually the problem? Has the leadership not fared well? Have they cared or have they not cared for what we are doing, for what they are supposed to do to ensure that they stem the tide of insecurity?
Well, the leadership over the years appear to have dropped the ball. And we cannot even say exactly this is the year it started. It was a gradual, incremental, degenerating situation. And you know, one thing about security is that they mutate. Today you may be talking about, in quotes, farmers' herders clashes. Now you talk about terrorism. Now I talk about banditry. But if you ask me, they are all 5 fingers of one leprous hand.
Yeah.
And while government appears to be busy doing other things, doing politics, these people are busy consolidating and expanding and mutating. And government handling of the security when they are developing is also not the best. For instance, look at what eventually led to Boko Haram. When their leader, Mohammed Yusuf, was arrested by the military and handed over to the police, he was extrajudicially killed. And that led to the exponential increase in Boko Haram activities. Okay, look at people who say that they are agitating for self-determination, for instance. And they formed their group, Indigenous People of Biafra, where you had prominent people, including a former Chief Judge of Enugu State as a member, including a former President General of Ohanese as a member. That is to tell you that it was purely for agitating for self-determination, which is captured in our Constitution and the UN Charter, and African Charter. And they will say that they are marching without arms, just to create awareness on what they are agitating for. And you will see Nigerian security forces, particularly the military, open fire, kill some of them. So over time, it helped to make those people hardened and feel that we cannot even exercise our right of demonstration without arms. So the way our military handled, and now it has become a very big issue, leading to the arrest and rendition of their leader from Kenya to Nigeria. You know, many people miss the trend of events. It was not, for instance, the leader of IPOB that started the issue of sit at home. He was not the one. It was in 2021 when he was arrested as a way of protest that Simon Ekpa was now ordering people from Finland to start every Monday sit at home to press for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. It was not Nnamdi Kanu himself. At the point, Nnamdi Kanu has to even order that they should stop the sit at home. If they must do it, let it be the day, maybe the day is going to court, and things like that. So the government handling of some of these problems, there are things that dialogue can handle. But when you leave it, want to use a kinetic approach alone, you cannot. Kinetic approach cannot solve ideologically based groups or agitations.
So in that situation, you are trying to now lay credence to what they do in Katsina and Zamfara, where bandits come to meetings for the purpose of dialogue. Even
Yes.
after killing a whole lot of people, kidnapping a lot of people, and taking ransom.
That is also a wrong approach, because it should be a stick and carrot approach. It is wrong for bandits to come to discussion with arms, because Nigerian Constitution prohibits individuals from carrying arms. Before you carry arms, you must get a license. Sometimes they will even order the Nigerian police not to come to the venue of the dialogue with their uniform. So these are the things I'm telling you, that government handling of the situation is also where they are supposed to be serious and draw the line. We will not do that. Then where we are supposed to engage dialogue, we will use force. And so, secondly, we have in our constitution a situation where some people call it dual ideology. Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state with no official state religion. You understand? But at the same time, some people are alleging that it was not through legislation, but through smuggling in, that Nigerian issue of Sharia was smuggled into our constitution. If you go to section 6. And Sharia was mentioned more than 60 times in the constitution. Islam was mentioned more than 27 times. Muhammad was mentioned more than 50 times, and so on and so forth. But there is no mention of Christianity. There is no mention of Jesus Christ in the Bible. Now, if you say you're a secular state, and in chapter 1, it says that this constitution is binding on everybody, is our ground norm, the law that guides this nation. That's what the constitution says. And then there is Sharia in the same constitution, which means the constitution has recognized Sharia as binding to everybody. And in Sharia, one of the provisions that if you don't believe in Islam, you can be killed. Which means our constitution sanctioned indirectly Nigeria is now an Islamic state. And this is what is emboldening the fundamentalists. So we need to, again, some people are calling for another dialogue to look into our constitution. Some call it restructuring, call it all manner of things. So our Nigerian security situation is very dynamic, very complex. It requires political will to begin to tackle. Of course, the socio-economic issues as raised by my co-discussant, they are also important matters.
Okay. You have actually delved into this very well. I want to ask you one more time that for now, because of want of time, we may not have this discussion. This discussion requires several of it to actually discuss in details what the problems are, the Nigerian security challenges. But today, just as we are discussing, we must have to say something that we could do to get it right. So what are the ways out of this quagmire?
The way out of the quagmire, for instance, is to use the use of technology. Because it has become very clear that the terrorists have become emboldened. We have so pampered them that you remember when under the previous administration, even some alleging that it's still going on now, we begin to negotiate with bandits and terrorists. We begin to call some of them repentant terrorists. We begin to say you are rehabilitating them and reabsorbing them into the society. Some say that some of the other day, a member of the National Assembly, a member of the rep, said that they saw names of bandits and terrorists in the recruitment list of the Nigerian army. He said it in the open. So when you have such people, you begin to wonder who is the people disclosing the movement of our troops, that their bandits are now having successful killings of our military generals. They will lay ambush, successful ambush. Now, the federal government has to sanitize the military, look into the credentials of every military, those who are sympathetic and those who are not. We need to engage technology. I don't know why we can no longer use satellites. The other day, the Minister of Defense was saying that they know where the bandits are. They know the forest they are hiding, but the forest will not allow them to use bomb. It sounds ludicrous. The forest can prevent. You know, there are technologies you can use that we use infrared. You don't even need to see the person, but you see movement due to heat coming from somebody's body. You can be thousands of miles in the sky, and you notice people gathering. And so we need to employ technology, more technology. We need to also ensure that there is accountability by the military officers.
Okay, obviously, I'll come back to you. You know that this topic is very wide. We have so many things to talk about on the security challenges in Nigeria. But over time, as we go on, in our subsequent editions, we'll still have you back to talk on this. But for today, what are the ways forward? Is it through the government, their will, in even the proposal by the President of America to come in for intervention and so on? Some people say it is the selling of our sovereignty and all that. And some others say the security challenges particularly are thriving because of rare earth metals that are found mostly in the north. China and the rest of them who are behind the excavation of those things and so on and so forth. These are all part of the allegations about insecurity. So what is our way forward?
Okay, let me start by making some comments on the issue of how America decided to say they wanted to solve the problem. In one of the radio programs, a television program, I said Trump was bragging and he was bluffing. But he knew clearly that what he was saying was an nonsense, doesn't exist in modern world, and he cannot do it. That was not because I feel America doesn't have the power, but and I love when Nigerians were like, hey, please come and help us. I said, help you from where to where? Which country has America helped? Countries on their international diplomacy will only tell you that they are for interest of their own country. All the wars that people have fought is for economic benefit of the country. United Nations was simply formed for the economic benefit of the 5 permanent members. So if you think anybody is coming here to help you, it doesn't make sense. I use the opportunity to say anybody that calls you a shithole nation, in the process says that you're a disgraced nation, is actually blabbing. And let me put it clearer, people may not understand. The number of people killed in Nigeria in a year is less than 1/3 of people killed in America by using assault rifle. The figures are there. But people may not understand that. You can actually, I can help you to propagate your information. And what is putting it down from being, sorted out in America is simply by looking at the law, stopping people from carrying out assault rifle. And here you want to tell us you want to solve the problem. I said, the whole good hula balance started when Trump went to China, to Asia, and he couldn't get a deal. He discovered, look, I've lost out. Economically, we have lost out. China is controlling the world. Shanghai economy is controlling the world. So they're looking at Africa because you've lost Europe, you have lost Asia. The next continent is Africa. Here you have gold reserve in Zamfara, those places. China is having field day, which I don't support, and America wants to have a field day. And what they want to do is to bull Nigeria into agreeing to bargain. And you have seen that Mr. President has capitulated, saying last week that they are signing some security deals with America. Of course, they want to say there's nothing else. Now, having said that, you begin to ask yourself, what is the main cause of this insecurity? It's both national and international. National, when the leadership don't know how to lead. International, when there are so much pressures on you. The likes of, we saw what happened in Libya, so happened to Muammar Gaddafi's petrodollar. Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, petrodollar is economic base. What happened in Libya was that Libya wanted an AU, that's African Union, where you have a single currency. When they looked at having over 1 billion population coming together, tied in 54 states of Africa, the economic priorities would be so heavy. They destroyed it. Unfortunately, America hegemony cannot destroy China. That's the problem they have now. So they are looking at Africa. That's not a help. That's a pseudo help. That's neocolonialism For me, so anybody thinking about that should better go back and read history from 1648 down to United Nations. You understand what is playing out there. There's nobody coming to any country to help you solve their problem. We don't want to solve it. And he even worsened it by saying it was a Christian genocide. What does that imply? You are trying to bring a sectarian war across Nigeria. People are Christians and Muslims in the same area. And you are saying that Muslims who are suffering the same crisis the bandits are causing in the area are now the people killing Christians. What do you want to do? And somebody said, let him come and drop bomb. I said, let me be frank to you. If the bomb is dropped in Benue State, the worst hit will be Enugu State. Because the IDP camp you have in Isos or you have in Hamufu will be so overwhelming, and the insecurity you have in the state will be so heavy that you don't understand the consequences of the disaster. So the disaster we had in Sub-Saharan Africa today was the nation of Libya. That gave us the free arm. So anybody thinking about foreign powers coming to help, they may not understand that. But having said that, so what's the solution? First, we have inherited a system of governance that we didn't understand. The present system of governance was not indigenous, and people should go tell themselves the truth. This thing is not working. Every government in the world that has developed looked at other models of development, models of governance from other countries, but at the same time decided to adopt one that will suit them. For me, we would have used what we had in 1960, which allowed a healthy competition among the regions, which allowed policing to go among the regions, which allowed the regions to think about local government areas they will create, which allowed those things, your primary school, your primary education, your health care, to be taken care at the level of this. So we need to retweak that our system, a system that centralizes every security challenge at the federal. It doesn't work. That's simple too. So first we must look at that. Number two, we must go into national dialogue. People, scholars will come up with ideologies of how to make an average Nigerian understand clearly that you are a Nigerian first before you become an ethnic bigot. That any insecurity in any part of Nigeria is an insecurity everywhere in Nigeria. Because if you don't do that, and then people buy into that idea like Chinese people bought into the idea, they cannot wait for you, to begin to bring out or you marshal out your plan to development. So Nigeria has to have a strong base using media men like you, having a reorientation of mindsets, across the federation. How do we understand clearly that life is not all about how much money you have? It's not the digits. It's about quality of life. If you are healthy, you have food, you have shelter, those needs are given to you. There's nothing you are doing with money. And that is what developed nations that has actually gotten almost near to perfect security, like Finland, Scandinavian countries, they have a high, very high human development index. So that is second aspect to it. Then the third aspect is begin to look at how you deconstruct the so-called omnibus word called insecurity. Let me tell you the truth. If I fire one shot of gun here, I expended over 1,000 naira. So if you give a military man and they expend 50,000 bullets multiplied by 1,000 naira in a day, that's just about, maybe if you have about a military man of no more than 30 or 40, and you look at this scattered across the federation, how do you begin to pay those bills? Who manufactures those bullets? You are buying them. That's what America is interested. Let's sell to you. And for using satellite, it's not going to be possible. I say you can without numbers. It's for one turn of time. But you note clearly that whatever you want to do is dependent on what the West gives you. So how many times have Nigerians gone to the West to ask, please, can you help us locate where these people are? Let's use surveillance cameras and handle them.
You will still come back to it. Mr. Comrade Ofoma said that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria seems to be defective when he made certain recognitions
of Sharia
that tends to cancel the secularity it has.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say, that we need to come back and look at that our constitution. I quite agree with that. But again, let me remind us, we were ruled by two colonial masters. Unfortunately, one is written, one is not written. The Fulani hegemony, the Ottoman Danfodio, was coming from the Sahel. The West was coming from the South. Eventually, they defeated the Fulani Sultan of Sokoto issue between 1904 and 1908. And they brought a constitution that is purely Western. To accommodate those of our brothers they defeated, they included Sharia. Remember the constitution we have it today, if you go into it, look at Britain, look at US, it's an offshoot of Christian church. Remember that clearly. So people may not understand this. And if you look at it, it allows the Western culture to be in the constitution. In order to accommodate and stop the rift, they brought the Islamic culture to equally be so that we can cohabit. But we need to desegregate that and bring up what is good for Nigeria. Irrespective of, remember the rights of the internationalists are not even recognized. Today we give public holidays for Christians and the Muslims. What about the traditionalists? The one that is African. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So we need to deconstruct that constitution. We need to bring it on the table, and everybody will look eyeball to eyeball. We were first Africans before our brothers from the West came and our brothers from the North came. So we need to deconstruct that. That's why I was talking about. Yes, there is need to soft part of the leadership to come on board and then begin to change our psyche.
You were itching to make an input based on
that America intervention or saying that Nigeria is committing a genocide. I don't want to dispute that. Christians are being killed. And you know that Sharia, if you don't see you as a Puritanist, somebody who is not practicing Islam the way they want it, they can as well kill you. For them, it's not an offense. Secondly, it is not wrong to partner with America to help us solve our problem. Even Russia, USSR, they are hiring mercenaries to fight war in Ukraine. So there's nothing wrong with that. Just that my input.
Yes, I was going to actually ask you about saying that Trump's position is not done, but we have seen.
No, Trump's position is not correct. You cannot say Christians are killed in Nigeria and you don't mention the other people that are killed in our region. Let me tell you something.
Wait, but you told us, or you told the listeners or the viewers, that they should read history.
Yes.
And history has it from the days of Ottoman Dafodio that he will Islamize
jihad.
No, you don't get
back to the sea.
You don't get what I'm trying to point out. The Christians who came from the south actually sold Bible. Matthew Cooker is in the north. They came from the Bible. They want to drop Bible in the sea. Those that came from the north want to keep their sword in the river. It is interest of economy. I said these two religions are alien to Africa. They are destroying Africa. Take them away. You should be concerned with people's belief. You shouldn't come into your system. Now
it's not possible.
No, wait, it's possible. China did it now. Now let me explain this clearer. The person that tells you that Christians are killed, actually I said it's correct. Then you said Muslim fundamentalists who equally killed more Muslims. Why didn't you mention the Muslim they killed? Now the issue is very clear. The man that is killing is a criminal. Who is he killing? He is killing both Christian and Muslim. You are trying to make me see that he's only killing a Christian. You are trying to spur others to come into war.
Religious element.
I am not disputing that.
Like Fulanis. They are killing and occupying land.
In the
They are not
southeast,
killing for money.
No, in the southeast, let me explain this. In the southeast, a Christian, an Anglican priest was killed in Imo State. Who killed him? It wasn't not like members of unknown government.
What is the motive?
No, I don't care about the motive. He's killing. Now, those people that killed in Jos, even in Benue State, they are hired, they kill. In fact, the government earlier said clearly that those that destroyed Benue State are poachers from Abuja. So they are hired to kill. You give them connotation of Islamism. Those are not Islam.
If you hire people to kill, will they occupy their land?
No, look at it. What I'm trying to point out is that killers are to be treated as killers. Why are they not killing in Saudi Arabia? Why are they not killing? So what
Saudi Arabia is not controlled by Fulanis.
No,
I'm telling you that there are people who are expansionists.
If you listen to my
who are killing to expand.
I say Africa
to take land.
That's why I say Africa.
That's why I say it's a complex situation.
Yes.
And they are being used by the global terror merchants.
Exactly.
Okay, gentlemen. You see, for want of time, we may not go further with this discussion, but we'll come back next time to have yet another one. This is Arena, Aneke TV, Enugu, Southeast Nigeria. This is where we're going to draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. And from Dr. Chikezie Obase.
Our listeners, our viewers, and everybody, thank you very much. Let's keep hope alive. Let's believe Nigeria is going to work one day, and let's begin to think about patriotism. For you listening and viewing us, remember one day you could be the governor, you could be the local government chairman. Think how to make Nigeria better.
And Comrade Ken Ofoma.
Thank you for having me. We'll meet again.
From me, Rex Arum, I wish you a Merry Christmas in advance alongside my guests, and thank you for being with us. God bless you all.
Hooray! It's Christmas. The King is born. Hey children, it's time to laugh, to dance and have some fun. Put on your dancing shoes and bring your friends along. Come on, it's the Aneke TV Children's Christmas Party 2025. Let's go! We got dancing, spelling bees, sack race, jumping 1, 2, 3, lots of games and surprises too. All we are waiting for is you. And venue is Aneke TV, number 30, Edinburgh Street, Ogwini Layout, Enugu. Come take your seat. Time is 12 o'clock. Don't be late. We can't wait to celebrate. Sponsored by Indomie. Yummy treats. Colgate, our smile so sweet. Kellogg's, bring the crunchy cheers. Malta Guinness, energy all year, powered by Nigerian Breweries, and this is the best party guaranteed. Come one, come all. It's Christmas cheers. Be there, be happy. The fun, it's here.